So, over the last 21 or so years that I've been alive, I've come to realize something pretty interesting about myself. I'm a lazy prick. And on top of that, having too many things to decide on doing at any given time seems to take that fact and put it on steroids. And that is especially apparent when it comes to the tech I use. So because of that, I sold my gaming and workstation PC. I know that sounds a bit left field, but hear me out. That PC allowed me to do a whole lot of whatever, which in turn led me to do a whole lot of nothing. And I bought this instead. And truthfully, I wish I had sooner. This is the 2021 16-inch base spec M1 Pro MacBook Pro I bought a good few weeks ago for 750 quid. Now, when I was looking to buy a replacement workstation, I looked out for a few things because I didn't want to replace a pretty decent beefcake of a machine with a piece of crap that can't do much of anything. I needed something that could handle my workflow, which is just absolutely insane, you know? Bit of editing here and there and some Photoshop. I'm an artsy-fartsy kind of guy, you know, I'd like to consider myself a creative dude, okay? I make videos. So I needed something of a creative mini powerhouse. I wanted to be able to actually use it like a freaking laptop though, and not have it docked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In that case, I could have just stuck with my desktop. And ultimately, I needed something to just get out of my way, you know, to not let me worry too much about the specs or the heat turning my room into an oven or noise or any of that crap that could potentially cause me to jump out of the window, because that is less than ideal. I mean, it's summer now, and here in Ireland, we've been having what feels like the hottest week of all time anywhere on planet Earth. Now, a bit of vitamin D, that's great, but if I were using my PC in this weather, I don't think I'd be here talking to you guys today. So let's talk specs then. This MacBook has 512 gigs of storage and 16 gigs of unified memory. So with Apple products, you'll have to accept that if you want storage, be prepared to remortgage the house, okay? 512 gigs, it's not a lot, neither would a terabyte be in all honesty, but it's okay for now. What you need to get used to though when using this thing for any large scale projects is you're going to be carrying around an external hard drive of some sort, which really isn't all that bad. And if you're complaining about it, then just pony up the fortune and get yourself the extra storage. The area you can't expand, however, you know, the area you'll be stuck with no matter what is the RAM side. Now, I was nervous when I bought this thing that 16 gigs wouldn't be enough. I mean, I was sweating buckets thinking about it. I had 32 on my desktop, so just thinking about downgrading in that department was already a form of mental torture that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But on top of that, I also had a dedicated GPU with another 10 gigs of VRAM in the desktop, which this doesn't have. The 16 gigs are shared between both the CPU and GPU, but you may have heard by now that luckily 16 gigs of RAM on a Mac roughly equates to 32 on a Windows machine, and that is absolutely bull. It's not true. 16 gigs of RAM is still physically 16 gigs of RAM. But what is true is that Mac OS and its programs are incredibly optimized, like weirdly well for the hardware they work with, meaning each megabyte in use is working its butt cheeks off for real. Unlike on a Windows machine where a lot of the time, RAM is hogged as a result of poor optimization. So far for me, I haven't really felt any differences in the RAM department, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, and I'm not talking about performance. Yeah, I have had the activity monitor open like a paranoid freak anytime I've been doing really anything at all in the beginning. But I'm happy to say that the RAM hasn't gone in my way at all, and even if it would, thanks to these MacBooks having like the fastest SSDs on God's green earth packed into them, some of that storage can be used as swap memory. And even though that's not ideal, it'll let you get away with some things that a 16 gig Windows machine definitely wouldn't. But if you do know that you utilize a good portion of maybe 32 or more gigabytes of RAM on a Windows machine using your workflow, don't go for 16 gigs of RAM here then. That would just be a bit dumb. In that case, just stick to 32 for your own mental well-being. The CPU and GPU combo in this thing is the now legendary Apple Silicon M1 Pro chip, specifically the 10 CPU core and 16 GPU core model. And man, is it every bit as good as they say it is. At this point, it's like, what, 5 years old, and it's just disgustingly quick for what I need it for. But what's more than insane to me isn't just how well this thing performs when I'm editing a video or designing a thumbnail or really anything at that. It's a pretty expensive device even today. I was expecting that to be the case. Duh, that's why I bought it. But what I wasn't exactly expecting was the sound. Not the speakers, we'll get into that in a minute. No, I mean the fans that supposedly are in this thing are just dead silent. I say supposedly because at this point I'm honestly not sure they're in there at all. I bought the MacBook secondhand, so maybe the dude that sold it to me gutted it for its fans. You never know. But seriously, never have I heard the fans, which after years of hearing my PC just going off in the background while I'm trying to record audio is a really welcome new feature. It also doesn't get too warm at all. Sure, it heats up to some degree, but in like a pleasant hand warmer way, not a burn your palm off kind of way. So that's nice. That's clearly a result of a great thermal design helped by this sleek metal unibody acting effectively as a giant heatsink, dissipating the little heat this M1 Pro chip does produce. Speaking of the design, this does look nice. I mean beautiful, and it screams money. So now me and you can go to Starbucks and do absolutely nothing on a MacBook. But we'll look cool doing it, so it's okay. It's got that iconic MacBook look from every angle, freaking rock solid hinge, backlit keyboard, a trackpad the size of a small country. I mean, it checks all the boxes. I/O wise, it's pretty damn nice as well. On the left side, we start off with the MagSafe 3 charging port, which I find incredibly satisfying to snap on and off, and you know, it's safer than a traditional charging cable, which is of course a plus. Since this is the 16-incher, wow, that sounds horrible. I'm never saying that again. Yeah, since this is the 16-inch model, I've got the 140-watt charger to go along with it, and it is dummy quick. Beside that, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports and the beloved 3.5mm headphone jack with a bougie built-in DAC for your higher fidelity headphones if you need it. On the right side, you've got a nice HDMI 2.0 port for outputting to an external monitor, more than enough for most creatives, but if you do need anything above 4K 60Hz, you'll want to use one of the 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports that allow this thing to connect up to 2 6K 60Hz displays, which to me is just insane for a laptop. Me, I just use the HDMI port to connect to my HP Omen 34C ultrawide monitor on occasion, but I find myself more often than not using this thing anywhere but my desk, which I absolutely love. But we'll talk more about that later. Finally, just the most beautiful thing you love to see in an I/O port selection, it's the full-sized SD card reader, and it's damn fast. I mean, I move gigs on gigs from my camera to my MacBook in seconds to like a minute or two at most. I can't say enough good about this little slot here. Quite frankly, it's improved my workflow by like 1,000 of whatever metric you like. Best thing ever. On the inside, let's start with what I find the least interesting. The keyboard. It's great, it feels good to type on, actually really good. It's backlit, it's really tactile, not mushy like some of these cheaper laptop keyboards. On top of that, I really do like the layout of the function keys. Everything up there is exactly what you want. You know, the screen brightness, volume control, the mic mute and unmute button, all the good stuff. Beside those, the beautiful Touch ID fingerprint sensor, just lovely to have when signing in, couldn't live without it. All in all, the keyboard, it does its job so well, it's just so good at getting out of the way and just letting you do your typing that there's not too much to talk about. Underneath, like I mentioned, the dwarf planet-sized trackpad. I love this thing. If you're not an avid Mac user, brother or sister, this, my friend, is the holy grail of trackpads right here. From the glide of your finger being buttered, to the gestures that just work, all the way down to the beautiful haptic feedback, since obviously this thing doesn't physically budge, so Apple uses Source Read to make it feel as if there's a click. It's just perfect. Put it this way, even when I am working at my desk, half the time I'll instinctively use the trackpad. And trust me, if I'm using any other laptop, it takes but a second to notice, laugh at how stupid I am, and switch to the mouse. But in this case, many times I just forget. And even when I do decide to use the mouse for editing, for example, I'll still use the trackpad for scrolling through the timeline in Final Cut Pro, or again, for the shortcuts. It's magic, and honestly, it makes me almost not want to recommend you use it, since, you know, you can't miss something you never had. I don't think I'll ever be able to use another trackpad ever again. Now, on to the cool stuff. The screen. This is what Apple calls a 16.2-inch Liquid Retina XDR display, and it is beautiful. In terms of resolution, it's a 3456 by 2234 panel, meaning it falls roughly halfway between a 3K and 4K display, and at this size, it looks incredibly sharp. The colors, okay, I can't sit here and act like I know much about color science in the slightest, but from my understanding, it is an incredibly color accurate display, perfect for this creative workflow that I need it for. You want a color grade? That's what the colors really look like. You don't have to worry about it lying to you. Now, what I can tell you purely from my experience is just how contrasty this thing is. The blacks are insanely deep, but this is a mini LED display and not an OLED, so you don't have to worry about something like burn-in when using it at its maximum sustained 1000 nits brightness for HDR content and 500 nits brightness for SDR. Also, you've got what Apple calls Pro Motion, which is just a goofy way of saying that it's an adaptive refresh rate 120 Hz panel. Beautiful. Yeah, overall, for content creation or just watching movies or Excel spreadsheets, it really doesn't matter what you're doing. This is a display you'll enjoy. Oh yeah, and the notch. Yeah, that's still very much there. It hasn't gone anywhere, but I never really paid much attention to it. And since this isn't a standard 16:9 display, it's got a bit more vertical room. You don't lose anything because of it either. There's also a webcam in there, and I don't use it, so yeah. Now the good, it doesn't stop there. You see, the speakers are just as good, if not better. I don't know where I heard this, but someone once mentioned that it's almost like listening to a good Bluetooth speaker. And that is 100% true. While editing my last video, at no point did I use headphones. The entire thing was done using these built-in speakers, purely because they sound so damn nice. And I don't like having a crater in my skull from headphones use. So this is up there with one of the best things that's ever happened to me. In fact, there's times where maybe I'll be watching a YouTube video or maybe a recording of mine taken outdoors, outdoors and I'll get annoyed at the ambient noise from around me. So naturally I press pause to get up and throw a rock at whatever's making that noise, you know, as you do, and then I figure out it was coming from the speakers the entire time. They're that good. Now, all in all, the hardware is stellar, but what's the experience like actually using this thing day in and day out? Mac OS, I like it. Nothing much to say. If you're coming from Windows and you're somewhat tech savvy, you'll get used to it by the end of the day, except for maybe the Command Q thing for fully closing some apps. That should be made illegal. I hate that with all my heart, but I've gotten used to it. And I think that even if you're not exactly the most tech literate person, or if you're curious whether this laptop is suitable for your granny or your parents, first off, why exactly are you considering a MacBook for your granny? And second, yeah, they'll probably be just fine. To me, honestly, Mac OS seems a lot more beginner friendly and intuitive than Windows, and don't even get me started on Linux. And the lack of bloatware is just a dream in this day and age. It feels like exactly what I needed. Overall, I really like the aesthetic of Mac OS as well. Right now, it's running the latest version of Mac OS Tahoe. I don't know, I'm not American, I don't know how to pronounce that. The glass effect everywhere, the animations, damn, even the stock wallpapers are all pretty freaking nice. I guess if I had to point something out I didn't like about it, it's this little line right here on the dock that I accidentally press sometimes and make the dock just freaking Goliath sized, which is not something I wanted to do. Yeah, that I could do without. And I don't know, Apple, maybe just make the dock resizing more precise. I don't know. I mean, if you click on that line and move the trackpad just a dickle-meter in any direction, the dock doubles in size. Honestly, screw that stupid line. But other than that, my experience has been phenomenal. The transition from Windows to Mac has been everything I wanted it to be. It's simple, minimalistic if you want it to be, and focused is another word I'd use to describe it. Honestly, that whole decision paralysis thing I mentioned in the beginning has gotten a lot better using Mac OS, just as I hoped it would. I don't have any real distractions other than a bit of YouTube maybe here and there. I don't use an iPhone, so my notifications stay on my phone where they're meant to be, and I don't have to feel guilty about not using gaming hardware for what it was made for. This feels purely like a creative workhorse machine, or just a workhorse machine in general. And it's not limited to that either. Again, for movies and shows, the screen and speaker combo makes for a delightful experience. I mean, just a lovely time. And for gaming, you can play chess. Yeah. And did I mention that this thing sips battery? I don't have an exact number of hours that I use it for on a daily basis, but it lasts forever. And to me, that's not even at all the best part. Like I mentioned earlier, when I bought this thing, I made the decision to switch to Final Cut Pro for editing. And even with 16 gigs of RAM, it works absolute wonders. Final Cut Pro is incredibly optimized for Mac OS since it's only available on Mac OS. Basically, where I could, I ditched all Adobe Suite products I usually used, except for Photoshop, which I definitely pay for. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but my point is I can use these apps wherever in the world I want to. I could be at my desk, in my fridge, in the middle of the Sahara. It doesn't really matter as long as I've got a bit of charge in the battery. This thing will perform the exact same as if it were plugged in. There's none of that plug-in for full power crap. No CPU throttling either. It just works. And that is my favorite thing about it. It is truly a laptop. Damn, even because of where the vents are on the MacBook Pro, you can actually use it on your lap, like the laptop name suggests, without choking it. It's incredible. Honestly, in my life, I've made very few wise purchases. They don't come by very often if you're someone like me, but this is definitely one of them, and I wish I had switched to a MacBook sooner. So if that doesn't answer the question of should you buy an M1 Pro MacBook Pro in 2026, let me put it in a way that's a little clearer. 100% yes. Don't worry too much about the age, because this thing has aged like the finest wine. Maybe better. And it looks like it'll be going strong for the foreseeable future. Funny enough, I used to be an Apple hater through and through, but this machine single-handedly turned me into a fanboy. Sure, I'll probably still be sticking with Android for phones, but this almost makes me want to try an iPhone. That's blasphemy, but that's how good it really is. But that's about all I've got to say, really. It's about a bajillion degrees in here, and I'm just glad I'm wrapping the video up. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, like, subscribe, and comment whatever comes to mind down below. I mean, literally anything. YouTube likes that. Also, I've got some more videos you might like, so, maybe check them out. No? Okay, that's cool. No one likes me anyway. Guilt tripping is my new tactic. I reckon it's gonna work. But anyway, on that note, I hope you have a great night, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.